Yes, I'd just like to remind everybody, if you want to see Councilman Didier in a slightly different role than the one he plays with us, the word of mouth on Frankenstein is that it's a very good show and it has 2 more weekends to run.
Concludes our, Mr. Harper. I just couldn't let this go by without noting the Elmhurst women's basketball team and the Canterbury women's basketball team winning their respective state championships, Elmhurst in 3A and Canterbury in 1A. And those who haven't seen the video of Elmhurst coach Mark Redding saying this is a real credit to the city of Fort Wayne, ought to. Mrs. Moore, any member of Post 241 is a friend of mine. I'm a SAL member there. Also want to take note, Gene Markling of St. Francis at the NAIA Track and Field Indoor Championships was named St. Francis's first All-American. She came in 3rd nationally with NAIA and heads up a really strong 3-person throwing team that includes Matt Trutling and Nick Adams from Fort Wayne. And I know it might surprise some of the other council members that occasionally I do read the New York Times, and I would recommend, Councilman Pape recommended some reading, I would recommend this Sunday's New York Times Magazine article, the cover story on how Cleveland is dealing with deteriorating housing and the challenges posed by the foreclosure mess and what their city administration and in particular judge of what they call rat court over there is doing to meet those challenges. Councilman Hines, I'm glad to hear your remarks in terms of our loss of leverage on the seeded funds, and also my own concern on Harding. I was at the last large class graduation from New Haven High School before Harding was formed, and know quite a bit of that history. Finally, a few weeks ago, we had a meeting of the Trust Fund Board for the City Light Lease Trust Fund. Last year, the bylaws require that board to meet in February. Last year it was delayed and delayed again until June. And at that time, I noted that according to the bylaws, that meeting was concluded without an election of the officers. We received a 1-page, front and back printed report from the investment folks on the City Light Lease Trust Fund, and that's simply not adequate. This is the governing board for the City Light Lease Trust Fund. This year the meeting was convened by the City Controller in February, but again we received a 2-page report. I'm glad to say tonight I've received what we had requested at the meeting, which was the full report of the investments of the City Light Lease Trust Fund. One other thing that was not on that agenda for the February meeting was again the election of the officers of the City Light Lease Trust Fund. I made a motion at that meeting that rather than full adjournment, that we would postpone to a date so that we could conclude the business in a proper way that hasn't been done over the last several years, and that we have a very open process that the citizens deserve on the City Light Lease Trust Fund. I know there have been other issues related to open government this week that have been raised in editorials, and this is in addition to those concerns that were raised editorially this week.
Before we retire the color, Sandy Kennedy requested a moment.
Thank you, President Smith. I would like to give a final report on our amnesty program, the first one that we have ever done in the city. We sent $39,910 to the general fund of the city. I think the first one had $39,910.
Amen. Amen.
Started out kind of slow, but on Friday we had a line. Yeah.
You will now rise
over
to
3,000.
rise to retirement colors.